Hi, I'm Mandy Hickson. I used to be a pilot in the Royal Air Force. I left about 11 years ago, set up my own company and run Experience from the Front Line. I used to fly the Tornado GR4, so I was the second woman to fly that on the front line for the Royal Air Force. And I got into it really through a very traditional route. My grandpa was a pilot during the Second World War. He inspired me and ignited that passion. And then I basically joined Air Cadets, and then I continued in through that route through university. And I was very lucky because I was in my second year at university and they changed the rules, allowing women to join the Air Force as pilots. And that was the first time it had happened. And I was in a perfect position to do that. So I applied to join. Sadly, I failed all the tests. But after a lot of negotiation, they decided to take me on as a test case. And then I went through the traditional training route. I was serving, flying out of Kuwait, basically during the lead up to Gulf War II. So we were patrolling the no-fly zone over southern Iraq. I saw 3 tours of duty and a total of 45 combat missions over Iraq. When I left the Royal Air Force, I realised that aviation had done so much in the world around human performance factors. Things like communication skills, decision making under pressure, how to handle stress at the highest level, especially when people's lives can literally be on the line. And actually all of those lessons from aviation can be read very easily across into the business sector. And I think when you actually analyse the things that perhaps keep people safe in the air, they are the things that create profitability within the business sector. And so when I left the Royal Air Force and I set up Experience from the Front Line, I started just doing sort of keynote speeches, motivational speeches. And then actually when I was speaking to businesses in a lot more depth, the question they were always wanting was, can we talk about culture? Can we talk about leadership, teamwork? Absolutely, because these are the things that create really high performance when you're looking at teams working together within that critical safety environment of the Royal Air Force. When we talk about decision making under pressure, I think people often look at these huge decisions they have to make and actually they feel overwhelming. So people often procrastinate over those. So we have decision making model that we use. It's called TDODAR. We look at the time to begin with. So that's the first thing. Now in the air it can be a very short amount of time. It can be literally a matter of minutes. But often in business, it can be a lot longer. You know, it can be strategic, that not just operational decision making, but right up to that higher level. And so the first thing we do is we diagnose the problem and we're really honest with that. So if you've got people within your team and you as the leader constantly tell people what you see, then that's a bit of a problem. So actually by diagnosing the problem and asking your team what they see, you're going to get a different mental model. Once we've diagnosed it and we're all starting at the same point, then the next thing we need to do is we look at options. Again, we don't tell as the leader, we ask. We do not contaminate them with our thinking. So pulling all of those options together, you as the leader then assimilate that information, you make the decision. So assigning the tasks and you review it. So it's not this linear decision-making process, it's completely circular. It just continues round and round. So when I was in the Air Force, I just wanted to do my job. I wanted to be one of the boys. I wanted just to fit in. And actually, it was only really since leaving, and really in the last couple of years, actually, I wrote a book about my experiences. It's called An Officer, Not a Gentleman. Bit cliched, I know. But actually, one thing it's done is make me very much aware of the fact that we don't need to be pulling up the ladder behind us. We want to be creating that really strong platform so that people can follow in our footsteps. And I believe that we have a responsibility to those following behind us to make it as easy a transition as possible. And so one of my big missions actually since I left is about raising awareness, talking at a STEM level to school children, to businesses, but also this year I've taken on a role as an aviation ambassador for the Department for Transport in the UK, which is really involving ourselves going into, you know, that very much grassroots level, just to make everyone aware that this is an incredible sector to get into, not just for flying, but in the business context. Aviation is a huge industry, and there are so many different roles and responsibilities for anyone from any background, any culture, and actually that's what's important. And I think, you know, it's been a real honour for me to be able to take up that role this year. It was fantastic to come here to the SuperReturn. And yes, just last night in the bar, it was absolutely buzzing. There were so many people around. And I think when we were talking to everyone that's been here, I think it's that whole, as you say, face-to-face, getting that ability to network again, meeting people that are not just on your Teams or Zoom call, you know, actually that's what's important. And I think that's why, you know, there is such energy about the event this year, is because, you know, everyone's just been really, really ready to get back and actually join in all the sessions and basically get the most as they can out of it.